And again, this is an important part of the course in terms of, understanding the first essential learning, which is about just being competent in Excel and feeling like you know how to work things. But there's a lot of ways that Excel can be applied to your own life. And we're going to do that through the projects. So in this one, let me open up Excel too. I think I've got it downloaded here. So we've got, and again, I like to try to do things that are relevant and have to do with the real world, because to me, that's the purpose of this class. So again, there's two tabs here, and you can see the tabs on the bottom. So there's Family Wealth Comparison, American Wealth. American Wealth is actually the second sheet. So you go to Family Wealth Comparison to start. It's got a definition of wealth. A couple of years ago, I got the opportunity to take a sociology class and learned a lot about class and wealth, which is wealth is a relatively easy thing to define. Class is much harder to define. But so then you've got three different families here: Family A, Family B, Family C. And basically, you're going to take what you learned from Excel 1 and you're going to apply it here. We want to do the sum of all the debts for each family. We want to do the sum of all the assets for each family. And then after that, you want to apply the definition of wealth. Find the wealth based on the definition at the top. And so you go to the top and it says, wealth is defined as the sum of all your assets. Make a box for you to put the final wealth, but you can just put it underneath one of those two boxes there. So for each family, you're going to end up with a final wealth number, right? Could be positive, could be negative. You can have negative wealth, which just means that you owe more than you actually own. And unfortunately, that is not an uncommon situation in this country. So once you're done with that sheet, which is just using the Excel formulas, and again, if you struggled with that in Excel 1, let me know so I can help you. Then you're going to go over here and you're going to work on this. This is a big paragraph, which is very dense in terms of numbers. Got a lot of numbers in it. And what you're going to do is you're going to work to kind of pull out the important pieces of information to make a pie chart. You may have seen pie charts like this. I don't know, it depends on the sources of information you're looking at. But basically, we're kind of taking America and we're splitting it into people, the wealthiest people, then the next group of wealthy people, and on down to the poorest Americans. And we're going to look at how much wealth they have collectively. So your job is to go through, and each sentence essentially is one line, one row here. So the first one would be something like top 1%, and then the amount of wealth is $9 trillion. Now, you have a little bit of a challenge in this part because you can't write 37.9 trillion, or you can, but then it's not going to be able to make a chart out of that. So this is good practice for us to do the number word translation we talked about last week. You've really got, I don't know, 4 choices. You can write 37.9 trillion out as a number. So I would call that standard form. That's option 1, right? And that just means that you're writing 37,900, 000, 000. Do I have enough zeros there? Is that trillion? What do you guys think?
No.
No, I need 3 more. So that's standard form. I could write it in scientific notation, which you were just practicing in the quiz, which would be something like 3.79 times 10 to the, how many places would I need there?
Would it be 11?
Not quite, close. I use the 3s to help me count here. So there's a 3 here, 3, 6, 9, 12. And then I want the decimal to go there, so it needs to go one more place. So 13. Now, when you do this, you have to write it using the equal sign, and instead of the X there, you have to use Shift 8 because that's multiply. So you could write 3.79 times 10 to the 13th power, and Excel, when you press enter, will rewrite that in their version of scientific notation. But you could write it like that if you want. And then your other option is to say the label of trillions at the top, and then you can just say 37.9. Now that might seem like the easiest option, but there's a wrinkle at the end, because at the end, if you look at the bottom two numbers, they're in billions. And so you'd have to figure out, if I have, I don't remember what it is, 380 billion, how many trillions is that? And then your other option is to do your label in billions, which makes those numbers easier, but then you got to figure out 37.9 trillion, how many billions is that? So for a lot of people, either of these are going to be the easiest way to do the problem, instead of thinking in labels of trillions or billions. But if you want to kind of push yourself, this is an interesting challenge to work at. So once you have that, then you're going to highlight all this information, go to insert here, and then there's a little pie chart here, and that, just click on the first one. That'll make the pie chart for you. Okay. There's some other instructions. You're going to make a total in row 20. That's the total American wealth for households. And then, of course, you've got the summary question here. Now, in the summary question, it asks you to make a ratio. It talks about part to part, part to whole. So again, you know, just because we talked about part to part, part to whole on Tuesday, we took a quiz and there was a question on it today. It's like, it's a thread. It's going to keep coming back through the course. You get more opportunities to practice it and understand it. When you do this ratio calculation, you should do it here. Don't do it on your calculator. Excel is a big calculator. A ratio is nothing more than a division, right? So I'm doing the ratio of 18 to 13. I just do 18 divided by 13. Don't write the numbers out. Use cell references, D12, D20, when you're doing it, and Excel will do all the calculations for you. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and let you guys tackle that. If for some reason you're not in a position to work on Excel right now, I would say use the time to do homework or ask me questions about other stuff. You can send me texts if you want to have a side conversation. But I'm going to give you, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to work on that Excel part. You should working on this. Okay, so let's tackle family A. So if you put your cursor on B16, that's where it's shaded underneath the debt. So B16 is column B, and then row 16 is over here on the left. And so you click on B16, good. All right, so this is where we're going to write the formula for doing the total. So start with the equals, okay, and then sum, good. Then you open parentheses, that's shift 9. Now at this point, you can either type it out using your keyboard or you can use your mouse. So if you use your mouse, you can just select B5 to B8 using your mouse, and Excel will write that for you. If you want to write it on your keyboard, you would write B5 colon B8. Yeah, use your mouse. Yep, just left click and drag down. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. So see how it writes B5 colon B8? So it finished it for you. Actually, you don't even need to put the close parenthesis. You can just press enter or return, and that will finish the calculation for you.
Oh, wait.
Oops. Yep. Okay, so now you have to press backspace or delete the F29. Yep. And then just highlight that again. Okay, then just press return or enter. Yep. So it adds it up for you.
Oh.
Okay. You do the same thing for the assets, and then same thing for family B, same thing for family C.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. You're welcome. So that's screen sharing. If you haven't tried that yet, it's a great way to get support, especially for things like Excel, but also if you're doing homework, if you're just struggling with other stuff, we can, like technical issues, the computer's not running right, you need to download something, you know, that's a good way to get support. So okay, I'll give you another 10 minutes or so to work more on Excel 2. This is not due till Friday, but I just wanted to give people time in class to get support for Excel. Okay, not sure if you've had enough time, need more time to do that, but you get till Friday. Just want to make sure and have a little bit of time in class for you to work on Excel. Excel's, again, an important part of the course. We're going to use it in two ways that are directly useful to you. I know, because number one, you're a student, and that's the first project, and number two, I'm sure you're dealing with money and thinking about money. So the second project is directed at thinking about borrowing money and how much it costs to do that. So those are two pretty good assignments for you, and they're built around your comfort and ability to use Excel. So keep plugging away with it. If you have trouble, you know, with the technology, how to write them, I mean, there's lots of things with Excel that are really annoying and difficult to kind of wrap your head around. Let me give you just a quick example of one of the things that kind of drives me crazy about Excel, and I see it as a problem for students all the time. 12, 14, 18. Okay. So first of all, you should be able to left click and right click. They do different things in Excel. But notice, I want you to focus on the cursor. The cursor right now is a plus sign. And when I click on this, I have selected D5, right? Now, if I move my cursor to the edge, notice that my cursor changes. Now in Windows, it looks different. It's like a cross with arrows on the end. And this is like a little hand. And what they're trying to tell you is that if you click here, you're going to be moving this box somewhere else. It's like I'm picking this up and I'm moving it over here. Okay, I'm going to do Control Z because I don't want to do that. But so if you're like trying to select multiple cells, do not do it from the edge, because you're going to be doing something different. You want to be doing it from inside the box. You click and you drag and you're selecting a bunch of cells. If you double click, then you're actually inside the cell. And I don't know if you noticed, but things changed up top here. See how I have my menu bar up here? So I have options to, like, you know, make this bold or wrap the text, merge center. How do I want to format this? When I select, I have the option to make those changes. When I double click, a lot of those options get grayed out, which means I can't choose them anymore. That's because I'm actually in the cell. I can make changes to the text in the cell, but I can't do larger things like format. I can't highlight multiple things. So the last thing I would point out is that at the bottom right corner, my cursor changes again. So there's this cursor when it looks like a plus sign. There's this cursor on the edge where it looks like a hand. This is on a Mac, so there's different pictures again on Windows. And then the bottom right corner, it's a black plus sign. And this does something different. If I click and drag here, it actually takes that and it copies it over and over again. And this is something that you will learn more about how to use. It's called autofill. But you know, I just wanted to show you one little thing about Excel, which can be annoying if you don't understand that your cursor acts differently when you put it different places in terms of the cell, inside, on the edge, or in the bottom right corner.